I've wanted to make a video about me and my experience for quite some time, but every time I try to, I get secondhand embarrassment and I don't like to talk in front of the camera. And as a consequence, I haven't done it. And so now I think I'm gonna finally tell my story, my background, and talk a little bit about how I got into the gym and where I'm headed and what I want to do. When I was maybe 4 or 5, I was in my public library and I remember seeing a muscle magazine, probably something like Flex. And I remember looking at the gentleman on the front and I wanted to be that. I wanted to become that. And so what I did is I went home and for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I started practicing handstands. I would do them outside, I would do them on the futon, up in our game room, and I would flex. And I wanted to get, quote, big muscles. That's kind of stuck with me for quite some time, and that I think is the catalyst for why I want to do what I'm doing today. It wasn't until, I don't know, the age of 8 or 9, probably the beginning of 5th grade, that I started to put on a little bit of weight. In hindsight, I wasn't obese, I wasn't even fat, but I was definitely a little bit larger than my other friends and my other peers in elementary school. I was told by some family members that I'm putting on a few pounds. I was told by some friends, especially over the summer, at a summer camp, I got a little bit chunky. And that really stuck with me and really messed me up. It's something that I held on to and something I thought about quite a lot. And that idea and that notion would stick with me for quite some time and still sticks with me today. Going into middle school, I'd probably put on, 30 pounds, and now I was definitely overweight. I also went into middle school with dyed blue hair, and I wore a lot of emo, goth, grunge-esque outfits. And so I marketed myself as the outcast. On top of that, I was raised Jewish in a predominantly Christian community. And so I always felt a little bit ostracized, even though internally I did not ever feel all that connected to my religion, or at least the religion of which I was brought up with. But people let me know that I was different. So what ended up happening from there, I tried dieting. I tried dieting quite a lot, actually, a lot of different fad diets and crash diets. I was vegan for, 5 or 6 months in the 7th grade, and I lost some weight. I would starve myself, I would binge, starve, binge, the cycle repeats. I'm sure many of you resonate with that. And with that, I developed many unhealthy eating habits. I would also work out for 2 to 3 weeks at a clip, and then I would go back to a sedentary lifestyle. I wasn't really all that fat in high school. I felt extremely fat and extremely ostracized in high school for a multitude of different reasons, most of which came from me because I was not the nicest person. I delved into the world of drugs as well as alcohol throughout high school. And on top of that, I was an asshole. That was a very nasty 1-2 punch combo, and it left me feeling quite alone. And the cycle continued more, where I would put on some more weight, I'd be mean to people, I'd smoke, I'd drink, I'd do other things. And it led me to a pretty dark place, a place that in hindsight put me in a really nice position today because I know what I want to avoid and I know the person that I want to be because of the person who I was. And so with that, it wasn't really until college that I started to drink and really put on weight. Drinking was a lot of fun, especially come first semester. Throughout this time going into college, I also did a pretty harsh diet and I lost quite a bit of weight. I dyed my hair blonde, I started wearing glasses, and I was reinventing myself into a different person. That was a common theme throughout my childhood, my adolescence, and even today. I've done it quite often. I drank, and I drank some more, and some more, and then we were sent home due to COVID. And then within 6 months, I moved into an apartment with 2 at the time, friends, which would be my first apartment, my first true independent venture. And it was exciting. And with that, a lot of freedom came to me. And with that, I wanted to spend that freedom underneath of a bottle. I mean, I was drinking, not just like a beer here and there, not just, I don't know, what would you call it? A glass or two of wine every night. No, I was finishing a fifth every 1 to 2 days for the better part of 18 months. As a consequence, I gained, I don't know, 100 pounds or so. And I left myself at 260 to 270 pounds, morbidly obese, anxious, depressed, and still not the person that I wanted to be. It wasn't until I went on vacation to celebrate my then girlfriend, now wife, her college graduation, and we went to Hawaii. It was a lovely trip, and I found myself just wanting to drink. And so I drank. And what came with that was me getting drunk one night, unbeknownst to both her and her parents, waking up the next day and not feeling 100%, obviously. And so I stayed into the Airbnb that we were staying at, and they all went for a hike. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, fuck this. And that really was the turning point. From that point, I stopped everything. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped a multitude of other things as well that I'm not going to get into, but I just stopped. I mean it, just 180, just stopped overnight, snapped my fingers, and I was done. And so over the course of 10 so odd months, I lost 100 pounds just through dieting. No exercise, no nothing. Granted, my work is laborious, and so I was, getting my daily steps, and I was getting movement, and so as a result of that, I definitely kept some muscle, but the person you see here today is not the person that came out of that weight loss physically. It wasn't until about 2.5 years ago, it was the beginning of January of 2024, and today is February of 2026, so 2 years, that I got into the gym. We had a local gym near to us, and I started lifting, and as some context, all throughout my adolescence and teenagehood, I watched a lot of fitness content on YouTube. I didn't partake in any of it, but I was extremely interested, borderline obsessed, and so I did a lot of research and knew everything of what to do with respect to dieting and with respect to exercise, and it just took me about, I don't know, the better part of 23 years for me to execute. Once I got into the gym, the rest is really history. I just consistently continued to lift, make progress on all of my lifts, make my form better, and stay consistent. My diet would slip for a day or two, but over the past 3 years since that day I said fuck it, I've pretty much stayed 99% on top of everything. It's a regimented lifestyle, and it's one that I really appreciate coming from a lifestyle that I led of unstructured craziness and neglect towards myself and others. And so for that, I'm quite thankful, and I can thrive in this manner. But I just wanted to give a little bit of context about who I am, about what I've experienced, and about why I do what I do. And hopefully in some way or capacity, this resonates with one of you that is watching this. So thank you. My name is Isaac, and yeah.